Okay, so let's talk about a story that's, well, it's about a simple object with a seriously terrifying reputation. We're going to unpack the legend of the Basano Vase, and believe me, it's a wild tale full of mystery, death, and a curse that they say stretches back for centuries. So imagine finding this. Beware, this vase brings death. That's the chilling warning they say was found scribbled on some old parchment, tucked inside a silver vase that just popped up in 1988. But here's the thing, its dark, twisted story, it starts way, way earlier than that.
All right, let's go back in time. We're talking the 15th century, a small village somewhere near Naples, Italy. A young bride is getting ready for her big day, and suddenly an anonymous gift shows up. What is it? A plain, kind of unassuming silver vase.
Yeah, she never even made it to the altar. The next thing you know, she's found dead on her bedroom floor, clutching that very same vase in her hands. It was sudden, completely mysterious, and, well, this was just the beginning of a very long, very tragic story.
So after the bride's tragic death, the curse, well, it just kept going. The vase gets passed down through her family, and guess what? Every single person who got it died soon after. It got so bad that the family finally decided they had to hide it away, just to make it stop.
And then, nothing. For almost 500 years, the vase just disappears. The story goes that a priest might have buried it on sacred ground to contain the evil. Whatever happened, it stayed hidden until 1988. That's when some poor, unsuspecting guy digs it up, and just like that, this ancient curse comes roaring back into the modern world.
Now, the guy who found it, I don't know if he didn't believe the warning note or if he just really needed the cash, but he took it straight to an auction house. It sold for 4 million Italian lira. That's about $3,000 back then. Seems like a bargain for a 15th century artifact, right? Well, you're about to see the real price.
And just like that, the curse picked up right where it left off. The first new owner, a pharmacist, dead within 3 months, mysteriously. His family, totally freaked out, sold it fast to a surgeon. Guess what happened to him? Yep, dead a few months later. Then it ends up with an archaeologist who dies from some bizarre infection. You guessed it, 3 months later.
At this point, the archaeologist family is absolutely terrified. They're convinced this thing is just pure evil. So, in a moment of panic, they do the only thing they can think of. They throw it out a window. And, wouldn't you know it, through sheer bad luck, or maybe it was fate, it lands right near a passing police officer.
The family wants nothing to do with it. They tell the officer, no way, that thing is deadly. So the officer tries to do the sensible thing, right? He tries to donate it to a museum. But by now, the story's gotten around. The vase's reputation was so bad that not a single museum would touch it, even though it was a supposed 15th century artifact.
I mean, it's a great ghost story, isn't it? You've got the cursed object, the body count, the creepy warning, it's got it all. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, once you start to actually look a little closer, to pull at the threads of this story, the whole thing just kinda falls apart.
Yeah, people have even called it the Basano paradox. Here you have this object that's all over the internet, listed as one of the most cursed things in the entire world, and yet when you try to find a single verifiable fact, you find absolutely nothing. And this right here, this is the heart of the problem. Think about it. Every single person in the story is nameless. The bride from the 15th century, the pharmacist, the surgeon, the cop, no names. The places are super vague, too. A village near Naples, an auction house. There are no police reports, no medical records, not a single piece of paper to back any of it up. And it's not just the missing names. The story itself is full of holes. For one, a plain vase from 15th century Italy. That doesn't really track with the super ornate style of the Renaissance. And silver. Historically, people used silver to ward off evil. So why would it carry a curse? Oh, and my favorite part. If the bride was found dead, who exactly heard her mutter her final curse? See? It doesn't add up.
It's exactly like what this person online says. It just reads like an old wives' tale, you know? An urban legend. And it's true. The story has all the classic signs. It's spooky, it's memorable, but it's missing all the boring, real-life details that would actually make it believable.
So what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if the name Basano isn't about a cursed vase at all? What if it's about something completely different? Let's forget the legend for a minute and talk about the real legacy of a place called Basano del Grappa. A place famous not for curses, but for its incredible world-famous ceramics.
So near Basano, there's this town called Nove. It's what's known as an industrial district, which is basically just a fancy term for a place where everyone is an expert in one thing. And in Nove, for centuries, that one thing has been ceramics. They literally call it the City of Ceramics. It's a place built on generations of actual skill and real artistry.
And look, this isn't folklore. This is a real, thriving business. We're talking about an economic powerhouse in the region. The turnover is 450 million euros. And that number doesn't even show the thousands of people who have jobs because of this, the thousands of small businesses. This is a legacy built on something you can actually touch, something real, not just a ghost story.
So instead of a cursed vase that brings death, the real legacy of Basano is carried by actual living people, artisans. And we're going to talk about one of them, a guy named Paul Polignado.
Paul has this great word he uses to describe himself, an artier. It means he thinks like an artist, but works like a master craftsman. And he comes by it honestly. His family has been master ceramicists in Novosilov for 6 generations. But he's not just repeating the past. He's all about shaking things up and blending that artistic side with old school skill.
So back in 2008, the big economic crisis just crushed the ceramics industry in Nove. And that's when Paul decided to come back home. But he wasn't interested in just making his town a museum of the past. He wanted to revive it. His whole idea is about taking old designs, using traditional techniques, but, and this is the key, working together with all the other master craftsmen still living there.
And this quote from him just says it all. This here is my studio, yes, but really, my studio is Novio. His work isn't something he does alone in a room. The entire town is his studio. He relies on everybody's skills. It's the total opposite of the vase story, right? That was all about isolation and destruction. This is about community, working together, and creating something beautiful.
His whole vision for the future of his town isn't about pumping out tons of cheap stuff. It's about becoming a center of excellence. You know, making less stuff, but making it better. Creating a place where true craftsmanship is celebrated, where artisans get the respect they deserve, and where a whole new generation gets excited about carrying on the tradition.
So at the end of the day, you've got 2 completely different stories attached to the name Basano. On one hand, you have this ghost story about a cursed vase, a story that honestly falls apart the second you look at it closely. And on the other hand, you have the real, living, breathing story of a whole community of creators, a story built on centuries of real history that's now being reinvented for the future. So I'll leave you with this question. Which story really defines a place? The fleeting legends we tell, or the living artisans who build its legacy?